This morning, I believe that God has a message for every one of us. This is my first time to speak in the new normal setup like this. And I want to thank God that we could all come together from the comfort of our homes to worship together in this manner. Let me start with one story. One day, two friends decided to meet up on a street. So when they met, the other friend was looking so sad. In fact, he was on the verge of tears. So his other friend asked him, "What has happened to you? Why are you so sad?" So this friend, the sad friend said, "3 weeks ago, my uncle passed away and he left me with rupees 40,000. So his friend said, "That's a lot of money." Then the sad friend said again, 2 weeks ago, my cousin brother, whom I never met or knew, he passed away and he left me with rupees 85,000, just like that." So then this friend said, "You seem like you're really a blessed man." Then again the sad friend said, "Last week, my great aunt passed away and I inherited an amount of rupees 10 lakh from her." Now, this friend was so surprised and he was totally confused. "Then why are you looking so sad?" Then the sad friend said, "Because this week nobody died." And so sometimes we expect to get certain blessings which God never promised us. And when we do not get them, we tend to get frustrated. We tend to get dissatisfied. And so today we are going to look at discontentment. Why are we discontent? What brings discontentment in our life? Why are we so discontent? Every day we are bombarded with different kinds of advertisement. And after seeing this advertisements, we are we felt that we are not living the kind of life that we ought to live. We look at some people and we want to be like them. We feel that if we don't use that particular products that is being advertised, we are not living the life that we ought to live. Some of us, we want to be healthy, we want to stay fit, so we go out for walk. Some of us go for run, and even some of us go for cycling. But when we go for all this good stuff, we still want to wear that particular outfit or that sneakers of a particular a brand like the Adidas or the Skechers. And if we are not wearing them, we feel that we are not up to the mark. We feel that we are defeated. We are not living the kind of standard that we should live. And there are some of us who depended our worth and our contentment on how many likes and dislikes, how many comments are we getting on the Facebook page or on our Instagram. If we are not getting enough likes or comments, then we feel that we are not worth enough. And so what people think of us, what do we use, what do we own, these are all contentment issues. Some of us do not have job right now, but those of us who are in the job right now, are we happy and content in whatever we are doing, in whatever position we are in? Some of us in the call center, we don't want to be the call center executive. And those of us who are the vice president of the company, we are not happy to be the vice president of that company. Our wants and our desires are never ending. And so being dissatisfied has become another kind of pandemic because it is hurting us. It is hurting many of us. It is affecting us. People are looking for satisfaction at all the wrong places. And the world system is continuously and constantly feeding us and guiding us to be that discontent people. We heard of depression everywhere, and I believe that one of the reasons of depression is discontentment. If we are honest enough, Every one of us sitting here, we are also discontent in one way or the other. And so discontentment, depression, this is affecting all strata of society. Whether you are rich, whether you are educated, even this is affecting every stages of life. Even small children are being affected by depression or discontentment. And so today we want to see what brings this discontentment. Why are we discontent? Number one is we are discontent when we focus on what we don't have. When we focus on what we don't have, we are discontent. Today we are going to look at the journey and at the life of the Israelites, how when they start their journey from Egypt, when they are set free and on their way to the promised land. We are going to refer to their life and to their journey quite often. Numbers 11 verses 4 to 6 says, "The rebel with them began to grab after food. And again the Israelites started wailing and said, 'If only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. Also the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now we have lost our appetite. We never see anything but this manna.'" Can you imagine these Israelites? They are now remembering that garlic. They are missing the garlic that they used to have when they were in slavery, when they were under oppression. The Bible has recorded onion, garlic, leeks, and all of this. Look at the plight of the Israelites. They are missing what they don't have now. Even though God has provided all that they require every day and everything that they required, they are not satisfied, because their focus is not on what they have. They are focusing on what they are not having, what they don't have. And so they are never satisfied, whether they are free or whether they are under oppression. They are never satisfied. Every opportunity, every obstacle was a kind of opportunity for them to complain and grumble against God. What about us? Let us look into ourselves. Some of us, we are constantly meditating on what we don't have. And that is why what we don't have, what we are lacking in our life has become so big and so huge. And God has become so small for you. Our attitudes make a lot of difference on how we face our situation. We are in a situation today where the world has never witnessed before. You and I do not have the choice to decide not to live at this point of time. We can't decide. We don't have the choice not to live at this time, but we have the choice to decide how we live this time. We have the choice. It is in our hand how we want to utilize this time, how we want to utilize all the resources that is available to us. And so today, I want to mention two particular practical points on how not to focus on what we don't have. Number one is focus on what we have. Very simple. Focus on what we have. We can focus on what is available to us right now with gratefulness. For example, we are all in the Zoom right now. And let me tell you this. I want to share that a few of us, women in DCC, we are coming together every Saturday morning to pray together. And this has been a real blessing for me personally, and I'm sure for every one of us who are part of that prayers group. Had there not been pandemic, had there not been this COVID-19, I wonder whether we would ever have started this prayer group. I just want to thank God that He has enabled us and He has helped us to start this prayer group. It's been a great blessing for us. We come together and we share our stories, our journey. We pray for each other. We get strengthened and energized. We get encouraged. And in fact, we've just finished the prayer week last week. And this is also an outcome of this prayer group. We felt glad that we should start a prayer week, and that's how it was started. And so when we focus on what we have, that is a great blessing for us. We will realize how blessed we are, and we will be content when we focus on what we have. And so, how not to focus on what we don't have? Number one is focus on what you have. Secondly, focus on who God is. When we focus on our problems become bigger, it becomes magnified. Those of us who do not have job right now, or who have lost job, or there's a pay cut, I understand that it must be a challenging time for you. But I want to say that we never know, maybe God is preparing you for something that you have never dreamt of, or you have never expected of. Or maybe God is trying to realign you to Him through this situation. And so the more we focus on God, the bigger God becomes and the happier we are. Focus on who God is. God is our provider. He is our savior. He is our deliverer. He is our teacher. He is our guide, our counselor, our shelter, and all that we need. And so the more we focus on God, the real He becomes. And so how not to focus on what we don't have? Number one, focus on what we have. Secondly, focus on who God is. Okay, and so we are looking, why are we discontent? Number one is because we are focusing on what we don't have. Secondly, we are greedy. Why we are discontent? Because we are greedy. Exodus 16 verses 19 to 20 says, Then Moses said to them, No one is to keep any of it until morning. However, some of them paid no attention to Moses. They kept part of it until morning, but it was full of maggots and began to smell. So Moses was angry with them. The Israelites were so concerned of their livelihood. They were so concerned, if the manna does not come in the morning, what are we going to eat in the morning? And so in spite of the strict instruction of the leader, they got something extra for themselves and kept it for the next day. And what happened? The next day, it was all a waste. They were not able to use it at all. Because they were greedy, because they were selfish, they thought of them so much, and they were not able to trust God. And so they were discontent, they were dissatisfied because they were not able to trust in God. Greed is never being satisfied with what we have. Greed is never being satisfied with what we have. What is the end result? It is ruining ourselves, it is wasting our time, it is wasting our life and destroying ourselves. It is trying to live a lifestyle of a rich or a famous when all that we make is just a minimum wage. And this is why so many people are running into debt these days. Just take it. Just remember that when we are running into debt, it is a warning for us. It is an alert for us that you are getting greedy. And so get up and be watchful. When we are running into debt, we are being greedy. Greed is being focused on oneself, on ourselves, instead of being focused on God. And it is self-serving instead of serving God by serving people. And so why are we discontent? Number one is when we focus on what we don't have. And number two is when we are greedy. Now, third number is we are discontent when we are ungrateful. Let's look at the life of the Israelites again. Exodus chapter 16 verses 2 to 3 says, In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death. Just like us, the Israelites also are very fond of non-veg, it seems. So now, again, they are missing these pots of meat that they were eating when they were under oppression in Egypt. Can you imagine? They were missing the garlic and the onion, and they are missing their pot of meat. God knows exactly what they need at that point of time. God knew that there was no supermarket in the wilderness. God knew that they cannot make gardens and wait for the garden to yield crops and at the same time travel. God knew it all, and so He just sent fast food to the Israelites. You know, what they have to do is just get up, go and pick it up in the morning and come back. That's all. All the nourishments are already there in the manna that God sent. They don't have to have non-veg to have proteins. No, all the nourishments are there. But the Israelites never seem to be grateful for God's miraculous provision. They seem determined to be discontent and ungrateful for what God is doing for them. Egypt was always looking better for them. Egypt was looking always better. When they were in Egypt and under slavery, they want to be free. Now that they are free, they are just missing that Egypt, that, oh, it would be better if we would have died there. And that's what the Israelites are. And that's how we are sometimes when we are ungrateful. However, God is very patient with the Israelites, and God is very patient with us. When they are thirsty, God supplied them. God satisfied their thirst with a river of water from a rock. Our lives have many difficulties and problems. Yet in the midst of them all, let us try to find plenty of reasons to thank God, because even in our most difficult time, even in our hardest moment, it is God who is watching over us. Even in our darkest time, it is God who is sustaining us and who is looking after us. At this pandemic, I often ask myself, how is this pandemic affecting me? Is it a blessing for me or is it a pain? And this morning, I want to share a few things that I felt the effect of pandemic to me. I would say that this pandemic has been a refreshing time for me in the Lord. I can see myself liberated and freed from certain strongholds that I'm stuck in. Today, I don't care what people think of me and what people say of me. It does not affect me anymore. At one point of time, this affects me so much. This affects me. What people talk of me, it affects me so much. I want to just thank God because I know who I am in Christ. And during this pandemic, God has really freed me and I am liberated. And I want to thank God for this refreshing moment that God has brought to me through this pandemic, through this lockdown. Secondly, I want to thank God because I could involve in the life of a few more people during this pandemic. Had there not been lockdown, it would have been difficult for me. But because I am at home, and so I was able to walk and journey along with some people, and it has given me a lot of joy. It has given me a lot of satisfaction and fulfillment. And I want to thank God for that opportunity that God has brought me through this pandemic. A small thing like I can enjoy, I can explore and pursue my own interests like gardening, because I've been staying at home, and so I could pursue and enjoy gardening. It is a small thing, but I really love gardening. I really enjoy it. In the morning, I get up, open the curtain and see how are the crop growing? Is there any fruit yielding? I just love it and enjoy it. And I want to thank God that through this pandemic, through this lockdown period, He has given me time to enjoy my own interests. And I want to thank God. But there are also not so good points, obviously, during the pandemic. With the permission of my daughters, I want to share that my children are loving their devices more than anything and more than anyone else. And that's sad for me as a mother. But the situation is such that they need their devices more than any other time because they're doing their schooling with their devices, they're doing their work, their homework, they are meeting their friends also through their devices. And so they need it. But even when they don't need it, they are with it. And so it's like keeping a bowl of ice cream on their table and say, don't eat it. And so it is difficult for them to resist this temptation. But today, I want to thank God for this opportunity because it has given me opportunity to pray for my children every day and lift them up in God's hands, because it is not in my hand that I can control them and I can help them overcome it. No, it is not in my ability. I can't do it. I've been praying for them in the past, but this situation, this time has really opened my eyes to see the reality of struggles that every child is going through. And I want to thank God for this opportunity that I could pray for them every day. And today I want to declare by faith that they will overcome their struggles, not because or not with their own strength, not because of us or because of our teaching, not even because of my prayers for them. No, but it's because of God's faithfulness and goodness. God will not leave them or forsake them. I often claim this promise that says in Isaiah 54 verse 13, that says, your children will be taught by the Lord, great will be their peace. And this is the promise of God. And I trust this promise for my daughters and for our children at DCC, that God will teach our children and great will be their peace. And this brings me to the last point of why people are discontent. People are discontent because they lack faith. We are discontent because we lack faith. It was the lack of faith that caused discontentment amongst the Israelites that kept them away from the promised land. They failed to trust God. They saw the problems instead of seeing the promises of God. Hebrews 11 verses 12 to 13 says, and so from this one man, and he as good as dead, this is talking about Abraham, came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as the sand on the seashore. All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth. Abraham had died before his descendants become as numerous as the stars in the sky. But he had already received the promise that his descendants will be as numerous as the stars in the sky. Isn't that amazing? If we want to be content, we need to trust in the promises of God. Trusting in God is one of the keys to contentment. And here I want to make mention of one of the consequences of discontentment is that it turns us away from God. It turns us away from God. We know from the journey and the life of the Israelites that because they were discontent, because they were dissatisfied with whatever God is doing for them, they exchanged this mighty and living God for a golden calf. When we fail to depend on God, we are blinded to the goodness and to the faithfulness of God. And ultimately, we become rebellious and turn away from God. This is most dangerous for any child of God. And so we need to guard ourselves to be conscious and to be aware of the faithfulness and the goodness of God. Now, let's look at how to be content. How to be content. To counter discontentment, we need to be content with what we have, with what God has given us, believing that He will supply us with all our needs according to the glorious riches in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4 verses 11 to 13 says, I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty or hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthened me. The Apostle Paul had experienced the best and the worst of life in this world. He had experienced life at the top, and he had experienced life at the bottom. Paul knew the full range of human experience. And in this circumstance, he is saying that in every circumstance, I have learned to be content. I want to circle the word learned. Contentment is a grace learned over a period of time. The implication of the word learn is that it does not come naturally. It does not come naturally to the Apostle Paul. It does not come quickly, or it does not come easily. But there was a progress, there was a process, and there was growth. And if it is so to the Apostle Paul, how about us? It is true with us also. It is a growth. Let us look at 3 possible ways how we can learn and grow in contentment. Number 1 is how to be content. Number 1 is gratefully enjoy the blessings of Christ. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 18 says, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Let us give thanks in all our circumstances, in our blessings. What are your blessings? What is your blessing today? Let me say, some of us, we are staying with our parents. Yeah? We can be thankful for our parents, for all that they had done for us, for the education that they have given us, for the way they have raised us up. We are what we are today because of what our parents have invested in our lives. And so we can be thankful for our parents. And if they are with us, let us enjoy them, because we can't enjoy them when they are no more with us. And so when they are with us, let us enjoy our parents. Let us thank them. Let us thank God for giving us our parents. Let us enjoy this good health and live our best. Every one of us can come this morning here and worship together. It is because we have a good health. Yes, you may be having a small headache or some pain here and there, but it doesn't matter. Still, we are able to walk. We are able to move our hands. We are able to see. We are able to talk. And should we not be thankful to God for all this? This is good health, and we can be thankful to God for this health that He has given us. We can be thankful for whatever age we are in. Some of us are just 15 or 14. Some of us are 60, 40, 30, whatever. But every stage of life, every age has its own beauty. And let's enjoy this age. I'm aging, I'm growing older, but I want to enjoy this particular period, that stage that I'm in. And so let's be thankful to God for this life, and let's enjoy our stage of life. We can enjoy, we can be thankful for this winter season also. It has just set in. There are places which does not have winter, but in Delhi, we can enjoy all the 4 seasons. There is spring, summer, winter, autumn. We can enjoy every season in our life. And for some of us, we all are living in Delhi. Of course, there may be some of you who are listening from other places, but we can be thankful for wherever we are stationed right now, because we are not in Delhi or in Kolkata forever. We are here for a period of time. God has placed us here for a period of time, for a season of time, for a purpose. It's not that we are great, that we are here in Delhi. No, God has kept us here for a period of time, for a purpose. And so we can be thankful to God for His blessings, whatever it is. And so let us stop complaining and grumbling. Let us not make our prayers an exercise of worrying on our knees. but let's bring to our mind and to our memory all that God has done for us. I like this passage in Philippians 4 verse 8 that says that think of all that are noble, that are good, excellent, pure, praiseworthy, and all of this. And so let us bring into our memory all that God has done for us, and let's cultivate a heart of gratitude instead of complaining for all that we do not have. As we often sing the song, let us learn to count our blessing and name them one by one, and it will surely surprise us what God has done for us. And so, how to be content? Number one is gratefully enjoy the blessings of Christ. And now, number two, be content with what you have and trust in His promise. Now, Hebrews 13 verse 5 says, keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. For He has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. There is a command here. It says, keep your life free from the love of money and be content. That's the command. But I want to put a caution here that money in itself is not the problem, but the love of money. It says, keep your life free from the love of money. And so the love of money is the problem, and we need to be careful. So let us not be lovers of money, but let us be stewards of money. And then what happened? What is the promise? The promise is that I will never leave you nor forsake you. Keep your life free from the love of money and be content. That's the command. And the promise, when you obey this command, the promise is that I will never leave you nor forsake you. And the command and the promise are tied together. And this promise is not about wealth or riches, but it's about His ever-presence and His providence for every one of us. And this led me to the third and the last point, that is, earnestly seek the Lord and all will be given to us. Earnestly seek the Lord and all will be given to us. We all know it by heart perhaps. Matthew chapter 6 verse 33 says, but seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. We have just completed a week-long prayer, and it's so encouraging to see many of you join us for the prayer. And this is the place where joy and contentment can erupt. Psalm 16 verse 11 says, in your presence is fullness of joy. And so let us stop looking for contentment in all the wrong places and let us come before the presence of God. Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 13 says, my people have committed two sins. They have forsaken the spring of living water and have dug their own cisterns, broken cisterns that cannot hold water. And let's check ourselves if we are those people who have forsaken the spring of living water. And are we those who are running after things that cannot satisfy us? And so in conclusion, I want to say that in this pandemic, when our income is low and many things are not going right, the real test of contentment is every time weighing at us every day. Whether our joy is in the Lord or in the income, or whether we are more excited for the presence of God, or are we more excited for material gain. And so if we want to be content, let us focus on what we have and not on what we don't have. Let us focus on who God is, because He is our deliverer. Let us not be greedy like the Israelites, because greed is never being satisfied with what we have. This is why many people are running into debt. And so when we are running into debt, let us be warned that we are getting greedy. Greedy Greed is serving ourselves and not serving God by serving people. And let's be grateful in every situation, in every circumstance, because it is God who is watching over us even in our darkest moment. Let's trust God's promises. Unlike the Israelites who saw their problems instead of seeing the promise of God, let us trust in the promises of God. And let's gratefully enjoy the blessings of God. Remember the command and the promise? The command says, keep your life free from the love of money and be content. And then the promise says that when you obey this command, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And finally, seek Him, seek His kingdom, His presence, because in His presence is fullness of joy. Our theme for the last prayer week says in Isaiah 55 verse 6, seek the Lord while He may be found, call on Him while He is near. Thank you, church, for listening to me. May God continue to speak to every one of us through this message.